Today, we're posing a critical question. What might the global economy look like in 2025? And what does this mean for the halal industry worldwide? Over the past year, central banks have made bold claims that the battle against rising costs is almost over. But is inflation truly under control? And are living expenses set to drop meaningfully in 2025? A key factor remains the price of oil, which, despite ongoing tensions in the Middle East, has stayed relatively stable. Could that change in 2025, and if so, how might it reshape energy markets and global trade? Meanwhile, China finds itself grappling with deflation rather than inflation, while the newly elected U.S. president is hinting at aggressive new tariffs that many fear could spark a global trade war. Despite such headwinds, the international economy has shown surprising resilience. So, can we remain optimistic about the coming year, or are we headed into another economic roller coaster? 1. Key takeaways from 2024. Inflation on the decline, mostly. After historically high levels in 2022, inflation started easing in many regions. Forecasts for the end of 2024 suggested it could drop to around 3.5% globally by late 2025, potentially making essential goods more affordable. However, some analysts warn inflation could stick if certain geopolitical risks or policy missteps reignite price pressures. Oil prices and Middle East tensions. Historically, conflict in the Middle East has driven up oil prices. So far, tensions have not led to a significant price spike. If hostilities escalate, energy costs could surge, and that would have consequences for nearly every sector, from transportation to food production. Potential trade wars. The incoming U.S. administration has threatened tariffs on countries planning to create rival currency blocs. There's also talk of adding a blanket tariff on imports from China. Such moves typically fuel inflation at home, destabilize global supply chains, and provoke retaliatory tariffs, creating a domino effect for both producers and consumers. China's economic slowdown. China faces a slump in real estate, rising debt, and deflation. Though its growth remains respectable by global standards, around 4.8% in 2024, it missed its 5% target. As a heavyweight in global trade, China's troubles can reverberate through neighboring economies, especially in Asia. Europe's lagging competitiveness. The EU is struggling to keep pace with the United States and China. Leading economies like France and Germany face structural challenges, including reliance on older manufacturing models, e.g., diesel automobiles, and costlier energy sources. Political infighting has also complicated efforts to implement bold, region-wide reforms. 2. The outlook for 2025, inflation and interest rates. If inflation continues to cool, central banks could lower interest rates to boost growth. However, a sudden rise in global tensions or a flare-up in commodity prices could derail such plans, forcing policymakers to retighten rates. Energy markets. Many experts predict oil prices may remain steady or even drift lower if demand weakens in key economies like China or Europe. Yet any new conflict that disrupts oil production could quickly reverse that trend, jolting transportation and manufacturing costs worldwide. Trade and tariffs. Should the U.S. follow through on aggressive tariff policies, we could see broader trade conflicts. This unpredictability complicates investment decisions for multinational firms, which must navigate constantly shifting regulations and higher import costs. China's uncertain path. Beijing has taken steps to address deflation, property sector instability, and weak consumer spending. Its success or struggle will have a global ripple effect. If the U.S. imposes tougher tariffs, China might forge deeper ties with other trade partners, fueling new economic blocs. Europe's strategic dilemma. To remain competitive, the EU must modernize its industries and secure cheaper energy sources, all while contending with political hurdles. If Germany, France, and others can't coordinate effectively, Europe's economic momentum could stall further. Shift in globalization. Some see deglobalization intensifying, while others believe the world is simply shifting toward new regional alliances. Asia continues robust internal trade. However, a breakdown in global cooperation on pressing issues, from climate change to pandemics, remains a serious concern. 3. Implications for the global halal industry. For the worldwide halal market, which encompasses food and beverages, pharmaceuticals, cosmetics, travel, logistics, and more, These economic trends carry significant weight. Halal supply chains and rising costs. 1. Tariff risks. If trade disputes escalate, halal producers may encounter higher costs for importing raw materials or distributing products globally. 2. Currency fluctuations. Depreciating currencies in certain regions could affect profit margins for exporters within the halal sector. Opportunities in high-growth regions. 1. Asia's steady growth. With Asia expected to maintain higher-than-average growth rates, demand for quality halal products, especially in fast-growing Muslim-majority markets, could see a surge. 2. New partnerships. If China and other Asian countries strengthen ties with each other, halal producers might find new market channels or joint ventures, especially in Southeast Asia. Oil prices and logistics costs. 1. Stable or lower oil prices. This would help keep shipping costs and air freight charges more predictable, benefiting halal exporting nations. 2. Potential price spikes. If conflicts escalate and oil prices rise, halal producers, like all businesses, might face higher transportation costs, which could drive up retail prices. Technological and regulatory shifts. 1. Digital platforms. As global e-commerce expands, more halal-certified companies are leveraging online marketplaces to reach consumers directly, particularly if trade barriers shrink or pivot to digital solutions. 2. Changing standards. Growing awareness of ethical sourcing, environment-friendly packaging, and traceability could shape new regulations. 2. Halal businesses that invest in transparency and sustainability may gain a competitive edge. Emerging markets and consumer trends. 1. Africa and the Middle East. Both regions show strong demand for halal goods. 1. Economic development. There can boost local production and cross-border trade within the Islamic economy. 2. Health and wellness. Consumers worldwide, Muslim and non-Muslim alike, increasingly value products that are both wholesome and ethically produced. 2. This trend dovetails with halal standards, creating new branding and marketing opportunities. What are my thoughts on this all? All in all, 2025 could bring a mix of challenges and bright spots. Inflation may keep easing, but unexpected geopolitical shifts, especially those involving trade disputes or new conflicts, could disrupt supply chains and raise costs. For Muslim consumers and businesses in the halal sector, global economic changes are both a challenge and a potential catalyst for innovation and growth. Thank you for tuning in to the Halal Times. What are your predictions for 2025? Will the global economy and the halal industry find their footing, or should we brace for more volatility? Share your thoughts in the comments, and stay connected with us for the latest insights on business, finance, and the booming global halal market.